behind me, I have my 1991 Nissan 240sx. Now, I picked this car up just probably about a year ago, actually. It should be coming up on a year probably around February. My buddy Dustin and I, we went down to Kentucky. My buddy Dustin and I took a trip down to Kansas to go pick this car up for one sole purpose, and that was for me to actually try my hand at drifting for the first time ever. Now, something I've been wanting to do for a while, and I finally, had the right opportunity to do it. Was selling the FRS, the extra cash laying over from that, I was able to go pick up this 1991 Nissan 240sx. Now, I've actually done my first season of drifting with this car up at US Air in Shawano, Wisconsin, and it was absolutely incredible. We were able to get out to 3 events this summer, which I wish we were able to get out to a little bit more. That's my goal for this upcoming season, is to actually get out as much as possible and even travel around a bit to go try my hand at as many different tracks as I can. So a little bit of backstory on the car itself. How it currently sits, besides like some wheels and the new bumper, really was built about 8 years ago from the previous owner. And it was actually a really, really nice car. It was built really well. It's just unfortunately seen some better days since then. It was fitted with the Origin stylish kit, which there's still a little bit of remnants left to it. It was fully caged, pretty much completely gutted. It's got a ridiculous cage in there. The front end is, I think, tubed. It's definitely not factory by any means. And then we still have the KA24 engine in there as well. Now, there is an upgraded cam. There is like aftermarket header. We got an exhaust on the thing. We got an intake. There is some stuff done to it. But most importantly, it was set up for what I needed. The suspension was set up correctly, even though the coilovers might need a little bit of love. We'll get into that in just a second. But for the most part, the car was a turnkey, ready to go drift car, and that's exactly what I was looking for. But now that winter is pretty much here, we're in December here in Wisconsin, this thing really ain't gonna be seeing much of anything coming up anytime soon, which is sad, but also makes for a great opportunity to finally fix some things up on this thing that I've been wanting to do since I got it. So we'll start off with the exterior and work our way in, I guess you could say. So starting off with outside of the car, like I said, it had and has what's left of an Origin stylish kit. Now, it was a fiberglass kit. Looks really good. I love that kit. But like I said, this thing has seen some better days. So what is left of the kit? We got the side skirts that were in like multiple pieces when I got it. They were kind of just zip tied together. I think the passenger side one was literally like 3 pieces just drift stitched together. So that was pretty neat. But I did take some time to actually kind of make them one piece again. I reinforced it with some more fiberglass, got them one piece, got them fitting a little bit better, but it works. Of course, they're a little warped, they're cracked, they're missing chunks out of it, but it's whatever. The car actually didn't come with a front bumper with, I can imagine that just not even surviving with how low this thing was. This thing was so incredibly freaking low when I got it that underneath the subframe was literally like that far. I would drive it into my other driveway here, which is a gravel driveway, and like the little like crest that's in it, it would just completely bottom out and scrape the entire way. I had so many rocks that I had to like clean out from my subframe on the first event. It was absolutely insane. That was like one time driving it in that other driveway. So yeah, easy to see why the front bumper was non-existent. So what we did is I just picked up this KVD front bumper. I knew it was gonna be getting torn off and things like that. And honestly, after a season, it held up pretty well. Now you get to look at the roof on this thing, and it's actually pretty unique. The previous owner absolutely loved metal flake, and that's totally fine. I love metal flake too. But something must have went wrong with this, or the sun really must have got to it, because there's a ton of metal flake on that 2-tone roof. It's a black roof with like just bass boat metal flake everywhere, except the fact like everything just like cracked. It's all like spider web cracked everywhere throughout the paint, and it really adds a unique texture to it. I'll give it that. Now, speaking of paint, I actually love the paint that's on this car for one reason and one reason only, because on camera and video and all that sort of stuff, it looks great. Unfortunately, it does not look that great in person. It is faded, it's got such a rough texture to it, it's scuffed, it's scratched, it's chipping. Definitely needs some love. But on camera, it looks really, really good. Now, what's one of the coolest things about 90s JDM cars is that some of them came with pop-up headlights, and I finally got a car with pop-up headlights, except that they don't work. They're just like completely disconnected. All the wires are like cut or ripped off or whatever, and that was kind of a bummer. I was a little little sad that the pop-ups don't work, but it's definitely something that I want to fix. One of the main things I want to make sure of this car is that it is going to be as street legal as possible. So not only do the pop-ups not work, which isn't that big of a deal, you just keep them cranked up and you can manually crank them up and down, and then you can just turn the switch on, and thank God they work, and the taillights work and all that sort of stuff. However, we don't have any front turn signals whatsoever. The rear license plate lights are kind of just dangling over the license plate in the back. There are sockets there, just no bulbs. I should just try throwing some bulbs in because I'm not even sure if those sockets work, but if they did, that'd be awesome. So just making sure that, like, if I do go drive this thing around the street, which I plan to because I do drive this thing 30 minutes to the track and back every time, which a little bit sketchy, especially when, you know, you get later in the year and it starts getting a little darker a little sooner and you have half the working lights on this thing. So definitely something we need to take care of because I want this thing to be street legal. And then last thing for the exterior, I guess, that's wrong with this car, or something that I'd like to address, is this freaking ride height. Now, it's the weirdest thing. I've never had a car do this before, but it's literally super freaking low. The bumper is like maybe a ½ inch off of the ground. Now, I know it's sagging a little bit and that'll help, stuff like that, but even though, like, the car is insanely low. However, the front here, we got 17s on the front, which I plan to run on the front, and there's just an insane amount of wheel gap in the front, and I don't understand how the subframe can be so freaking low, and that wheel gap is absolutely atrocious. So I don't know if we just gotta get a thicker sidewall tire or what, but we definitely have to address that because that is just atrocious looking. Now, moving on to the interior, there's really not that much to talk about because there's really not much of an interior in the car whatsoever. I mean, we got that super beefy cage, which is awesome for a sub 200 horsepower car, but I know that I will be safe no matter what. However, the rest of the interior pretty much completely gutted. The dash, just like any good 240, absolutely obliterated. Some of the lights work, some of the lights don't, and then other interior pieces just obsolete. There's no door cards in it. I would like to get some door cards. And then of course, just some other miscellaneous interior pieces just to kind of tie everything together just a little bit, since I, do drive this car other than just on the track. The seats are actually stock seats out of an S14, which they get the job done. They're comfortable. However, they don't hold my big old body in place that much. And literally after a drift event, I have bruises in my knees, in my elbows, in my legs, wherever, that I'm just bracing myself up against other parts of the car from being flown all around. Even that crazy harness can't keep me planted. I'm a lot of weight. There's a lot of inertia going around on that inside of that car when it's swinging around the track. And I need some better seats. Now looking around the rest of the interior, you'll notice that there is a hydraulic handbrake in there, which is all fine and dandy, even though my buddy Sam said if I touch that, he's gonna cut my hands off, or if he sees me use it, he's gonna yell at me, or just be at least disappointed in me. So, good news is, Sam, that it's not even hooked upright. It's actually hooked up backwards. So if I do pull that handle, the brake actually comes back at me, and I pretty much just lose all brake pressure. So that's really cool. So I can't even use it if I wanted to, but I feel like at some point we definitely should hook that up the right way. Now I've also mounted the rear view mirror in this thing multiple times, and I don't know if it's an adhesion issue, just not sticking and it just falls off randomly, or it might just be, me going off track a couple of times and having a little bit of an impact. Mechanically wise, the car is absolutely phenomenal. This thing has never left me with any issues at the track other than just, I think, a tie rod at the beginning of the season and then a friggin' sheared lug bolt at the end of the season, which, again, you're gonna have that. Other than that, the car runs and drives absolutely phenomenal. The only thing is that the suspension, the coilovers, the 8-10-year-old Megan Racing coilovers are absolutely fucking clapped. Like they're done for. There's nothing left of those coilovers. So definitely one of the first things on the list to check off is to get a new set of coilovers for this thing, because my God, I have never ridden on anything worse in my life. And I even tried to put a set of max speeding rounds on it. It's kind of like a joke because I wanted to see how $200 coilovers were, and they wouldn't even fit, all right? Don't buy cheap coilovers. So all in all, I absolutely love this car. It's been fantastic for me. It's been a great car to get behind the wheel and start learning how to drift with. It handled the season absolutely phenomenal. We only had to replace a few common things that happens when you drive these cars the way that we drive them on the track. And honestly, I can't wait until next season. But like I said, in the meantime, we're gonna be working on this thing as much as possible because there are some major things that I want to address. First off, paint matching that goddamn bumper. And I know that it's just gonna get beat up anyway, and we're gonna try to paint match it to this Blard green that we call it, and it's probably not gonna match whatsoever, but we're gonna try our damnedest, all right? We're gonna try painting something for the first time, so that'll be fun. The next thing is to replace as many broken body pieces as we can. So these front fenders are absolutely cheech. They are bent, they're literally torn in places. They're just chipping and cracking and everything you can imagine. We got the side skirts that are multiple pieces. Well, one piece, I fixed that, but they look like they're multiple pieces yet. Got the rear bumper. Rear bumper's okay. But I just wanna fix as many of these body pieces as I can. So what that means, you know, just throwing a KBD kit on for now and calling her a day and try to paint match as much as possible, or trying to source some Origin pieces, even though I know you're waiting like 6 to 8 months on that stuff right now. We'll see what we can do. But I wanna get this thing looking a little bit decent. I wanna get some new seats for it, because like I said, I'm tired of getting thrown around on the inside of this thing and coming home with as many bruises as possible. They look like I got beat up for my lunch money after I come home from the drift track. And my wife's like, what did they do to you there? And I'm like, no, I did this to myself. And it's a really awkward conversation to have. If everything pans out correctly too, I'd like to respray the entire car. I know that is a huge undertaking, but it's something I've never done before, and something that I eventually want to learn and want to try my hand at, and figured can't really mess it up more than it is now, so might as well try, right? But most importantly, I want to have fun with it, and I want to continue having fun with it, and I want to be proud of the car that I'm hopping behind the wheel of. So if you'd like to see that progress, make sure you like this video and subscribe, because we're definitely gonna be posting about this more, and I really appreciate you guys if, you know, come along for the ride with me and laugh at me when I make stupid mistakes, or really mess up the paint, or install something backwards and break something, or whatever is about to happen. I really don't know. I like working on cars, but nothing ever seems to go right. So if you want to be a part of that, like I said, make sure to subscribe. But thank you guys so much for watching. It's been absolutely incredible. Last couple of weeks, we're approaching 9,000 subscribers at this point. My mind is absolutely blown. This is stuff that like I dreamed of growing up watching YouTube, is to be able to do this kind of stuff myself, and you guys, you know, I have you guys to thank for that. So thank you guys so much. We are gonna get working on this car. We got some more stuff to film. We'll see you in the next one.